Okay, let's think about this. What really shapes the greatest stories we tell around the table? Is it just the monsters and the magic?
Probably not just that.
Or is it something, deeper? Maybe those connections, those invisible threads of loyalty, or even hatred between the characters.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. Those relationships, alliances, rivalries,
Hmm.
they can really turn simple adventurers into something more, right?
Yeah.
A real group.
Exactly. Isn't the most powerful magic in a campaign often just that messy, complicated relationship stuff between the players' characters?
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing how even a tiny seed of a pre-existing connection can just, well, blossom. It can become the most engaging part of the whole story.
Do you have an example? Like from a recent game?
Yeah, actually. Just last week, I was running this session. The party was trying to negotiate with his guild leader. Pretty tense stuff.
Okay.
And unknown, most of them, the party's dwarf fighter.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be this guy's protege. Got kicked out years ago. Some kind of perceived dishonor, total secret backstory element.
Oh,
And then the party's rogue.
mm-hmm.
His backstory involved nicking stuff, right? Well, turns out he'd accidentally stolen something pretty valuable from this same guild leader way back when.
No way. Did they plan that?
Not really. They were just like little flavor details the players added during creation. Doesn't seem like a big deal.
Yeah.
But then, mid-parlay, it all came out. The guild leader recognized the fighter's stance, someone found the stolen item,
Whoa.
and boom, the whole dynamic just flipped. You could feel the tension spike. Old wounds, unspoken history. Suddenly the stakes felt incredibly personal. Way more than any quest reward I'd planned.
Wow.
It completely derailed my encounter plan, honestly.
Huh. But in a good way.
Oh, the best way.
Well,
It was
yeah.
thrilling. And it was all driven by those little bits of interwoven history the players came up with.
That is exactly the kind of emergent story we're talking about today.
Right.
So today we're going to dive into the world of backstory generators and specifically how we can use them as a tool, a catalyst to create those really deep rivalries and, those rock solid alliances in D&D.
Yeah, we're drawing a lot from this really insightful piece over at LitRPG Reads. They make a strong case for this approach.
So our mission today, it's to figure out how to move beyond just like generating random facts.
Right. We want to explore how to strategically use these generators to weave these complex relationships between characters right from the start.
Get those grudges simmering, those loyalties tested before session one even kicks off properly.
Exactly. How do we use these tools to spark drama and connection?
The article really hammers home that these pre-established relationships give a campaign immediate dynamism. You skip that awkward strangers in a tavern phase, somewhat.
Totally. Instead of everyone just figuring each other out from scratch, you've got characters already navigating, prior stuff. History. Baggage, maybe?
Yeah, baggage. It creates an instant undercurrent, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Something for everyone else to react to, even if they aren't directly involved in that specific relationship.
It's just a much richer starting point than a complete blank slate.
It's like hitting fast forward on the initial awkwardness, dropping players into a situation where they already have reasons to care about each other. Or maybe distrust each other.
The article calls it giving players a running start on emotional investment. I like that.
Me too. Their motivation isn't just the quest hook anymore. It's tied up with the other people at the table.
And the beauty is the complexity. It's
Yeah.
rarely just we're buddies or we hate each other.
Right.
There can be like layers, unrequited loyalty maybe,
Right.
or resentment hidden behind politeness,
Yeah.
or a debt that hasn't been settled.
Yeah, those nuances. Even if they're subtle in the backstory, they color every single interaction, every choice in the game.
The social stakes become just as gripping as fighting the dragon.
Exactly. Maybe you brave the dungeon not just for gold, but to one-up your rival who wants the same thing.
Or you risk everything to protect an ally because their family's in danger, and you owe them, or you just care.
It lifts the game up, makes it more character-driven, more meaningful.
So, if these relationships are so potent, what should we look for in a backstory generator to actually, generate them effectively?
Good question. The article stresses adaptability first, meaning the prompts should be flexible enough to fit different campaigns. A pirate rivalry looks different from a gothic horror one.
Makes sense. Needs to be reskinnable.
Beyond that, it's about detail, nuance. You have an enemy isn't super helpful.
Right. You need the why, the how, what's the nature of the enmity.
Yeah, we need more than just a label. The article says to look for generators that dig into the core, the shared history, the emotions, the unresolved stuff simmering under the surface.
Ideally, the prompts should give you choices, maybe even dilemmas, like Were you allies who split over a moral issue?
Ooh, good one. Or did one of you accidentally cause some tragedy for the other?
Exactly. The best generators, the article suggests, are springboards. They give you ideas, conflicts, connections, but let you and the DM fill in the blanks.
The tone matters too, apparently. Darker campaigns might want prompts about betrayal or loss.
While later games could use, I don't know, comical mishaps or petty squabbles between characters.
Yeah. And the article lists a ton of great prompt types. Shared history, past betrayals, old debts, family ties, clashing ideologies.
Romantic tension, unspoken jealousy, secret pacts, mutual enemies, fateful accidents, competing ambitions, sibling rivalry, mentor-protege stuff, vows. The list goes on.
It's quite comprehensive.
What's cool is the sheer range it covers. Shows that big relationships can come from anywhere, good or bad.
And a key point the article makes, don't treat the generator output like sacred text.
Right. Mix and match, tweet things, use it as inspiration. It's a tool, a collaborative starting point.
Okay, so say you've used a generator. You've got this little spark, this prompt for a relationship dynamic. How do you actually make it matter in the game?
This is where the fun starts. The article talks about using these prompts as story hooks.
So that simple line becomes the seed for potentially a whole adventure arc.
Exactly. Like you're both in a secret society with conflicting goals. Instantly, questions pop up. What goals? Why the conflict? Do they know about each other's hidden agendas?
It's an invitation to explore. Potential for cooperation, potential for betrayal.
And the article mentions timing the reveal.
Yeah.
When does this connection come to light for maximum drama?
Ooh, yeah. Imagine two characters working together, seem fine, then bam. Their hidden past conflict explodes at the worst possible moment. Changes everything.
And grounding it in the setting is crucial too. If the rivalry is over, say, a specific magic sword.
That sword better show up later.
Exactly. It anchors the personal history to the game world, makes it feel connected, like it has consequences.
The article also highlights player agency here.
Super important. If the prompt is, you owe a life debt, the players need to hash out the details. How? Why? What does repayment look like?
The more they own it, the more invested they'll be.
For sure. The article gives some great examples of prompts involving lifelong grudges, forbidden love, fights over inheritances.
Yeah.
Really gets the ideas flowing.
But what about the rest of the party? How do you make sure these intense one-on-one relationships don't sideline everyone else?
That's a really important balancing act for the DM. You don't want the whole campaign to just be about player A and player B's drama.
Right. Feels unfair.
The article suggests aiming for a diverse web of connections. Ideally, every player character has at least one meaningful link ally or rival within the party.
So it's not just concentrated between two people.
Exactly. And even cross-party rivalries can be great if they ultimately serve the group somehow. Maybe forcing them to cooperate occasionally, or having shared external enemies helps unite them.
Share allies too, right? The article mentioned that.
Yes. A common mentor, maybe someone they both know in a guild, even overlapping family ties. Those create threads that pull the party together.
Like anchors.
Good word, anchors.
Yeah.
The DM needs to weave these shared NPCs or groups into the story so they stay relevant.
And remember, these relationships aren't static. They should change.
Absolutely. Alliances can break. Rivals might find common ground against a bigger threat. It should evolve.
It's all about using these dynamics for character growth and developing the party, not just causing internal conflict that stalls the game.
Right. And thinking about when to highlight these connections, maybe early on to set the stage, during downtime, or in a big pivotal scene.
Let's talk more about rivalries. They add so much tension. How does the article suggest making them really compelling?
The key word is dynamic. Good rivalries aren't stuck in one mode. They change based on what happens in the game.
How so?
Well, the intensity can shift. Maybe through direct competition, like racing for the same goal, or acts of betrayal, big ones.
Ouch.
Or maybe they're forced into temporary alliances. That's always juicy.
Yeah, the enemy of my enemy situation.
Exactly. And even moments of, like, grudging respect earned through surviving something awful together.
It's like a dance, isn't it? Sometimes opposing, sometimes reluctantly aligned, maybe even a moment of vulnerability that changes things.
That interplay of betrayal and maybe even reconciliation can be incredibly powerful. Imagine a rival choosing to help the other, maybe at great cost to themselves.
That could completely shift the relationship, even if the core conflict remains.
And not all rivalries have to be deadly serious. The article reminds us that lighter, more playful ones can add humor and build camaraderie in a weird way. Shared antagonism can be fun.
So the bottom line, according to the article, is that successful rivalries are collaborative drama.
Yes. It takes communication between the players, a level of trust out of character to make the in-character conflict enjoyable for everyone.
Crafting those memorable moments together, the standoffs, the unexpected team-ups, maybe even that slow shift from hatred to something else.
No, flipping the coin,
Yeah.
alliances. How do we make sure they're more than just convenient plot devices? How do they stay compelling?
The article argues that even the strongest alliances need layers, potential for conflict within them.
Makes sense. Unspoken expectations, past sacrifices maybe not fully appreciated, different long-term goals.
Yeah.
That's what keeps it interesting.
A perfectly smooth, uncomplicated alliance can feel a bit flat, dramatically speaking.
Right, so you look for the pressure points. Is there an imbalance of power? Secrets between the allies? Was it built on trust or just mutual need?
You need room for growth? Maybe some friction?
Tests and challenges really reveal the alliance's true nature, whether they come from outside or from disagreements within.
Dangerous favors, mutual debts, those add tension too.
The article mentions different types, like oath-bound alliances where breaking the oath has real consequences, reluctant truces, alliances where one person clearly has the upper hand, even unspoken romantic feelings complicating things.
It sounds like the goal is to make even solid alliances feel like they could be tested. There are always underlying complexities ready to surface.
Creates possibilities.
So for the dungeon masters listening, thinking about using generators for this, any practical advice from the article?
Big one. Adapt the prompts. Make them fit your world. Change names, places, the core reason for the relationship if needed, so it integrates seamlessly with your setting's lore.
Don't just drop it in randomly.
Right. And offer players choices. Don't just hand them one prompt and say, this is it. Give options. Let them mix elements. Collaboration is key for buy-in.
Get the players involved in defining the relationship.
Absolutely. And use NPCs. Non-player characters can reflect these relationships. Challenge them. If two PCs have a shared rival NPC, that rival needs their own goals and should interact with both PCs dynamically.
Makes the world feel more alive.
And remember, the generator is just inspiration. It's not rules. If a prompt feels flat or doesn't spark anything, ditch it. Don't force it.
Use it as a jumping-off point.
Exactly. The best stuff often comes from blending a generated idea with the collaborative story that happens at the table. The article even has like a helpful table with examples of modifying results and questions to ask players to deepen things.
So it's a process. Take the spark, nurture it, collaborate, weave it into the ongoing story.
It sounds like these generators can be incredibly valuable if you approach them with, intention and creativity.
Yeah, that article really concludes that they aren't replacing creativity, they're boosting it.
A catalyst. They introduce twists, connections you might not have thought of otherwise. Enriches the characters for the players, gives the DM more to work with.
For players, it's that immediate connection to the world and the party. For DMs, fertile ground for richer campaigns.
And that's the power, right? How a simple generated line can become this defining part of a character's arc and the whole party's story.
It really drives home that these relationships, generated or organic, are what breathe life into our TTRPG experiences.
Totally. They drive development, challenge assumptions, forge those bonds that make each campaign unique. Every choice feels heavier, every win sweeter, even defeats are shared.
So a final thought for everyone listening. As you think about your next character or campaign,
Yeah.
how might just one pre-existing relationship, even a seemingly minor one, completely change the course of your game? Something to chew on.
Definitely something to think about. And hey, big thanks to LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello, fine fellow, for the article that sparked this whole discussion.
Right.
Really insightful stuff.
Absolutely. And to you listening, we'd love to hear your experiences. Have you used backstory generators for rivalries or alliances? Did it work? Any horror stories?
Yeah, share your stories, your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below.